So, what's it like getting married in Montenegro or abroad for that matter? It is a lituation. It's so cool, guys. I'll just show you. But logistics, okay? The things you need to know. Every country has their own rules and regulations. Though they are similar, you do need to know, like familiarize yourself with that particular country. Let me rewind before I get into all that. Why did we decide to get married in Montenegro? Well, as you may or may not know, depending on how long you guys have been following us, we run a wellness program for Boundless Life. We created the Be Well program for parents who are having trouble prioritizing their health and wellness. And we did so with the goal to help people reconnect to themselves, to what makes them feel good, what makes them feel passionate and loved and all those things, so that they can better show up for them, for their children, for their partners, for their employers, or if they are their own employers, for their passion projects, their companies and things like that. So we knew that we would likely be in a different country for the rolling out of this program. So we rolled out this program in Syros, Greece last year this time, also the time when we got engaged. I had no idea that I was going to get engaged, and neither of us had any idea that we were pregnant. So it was big surprises. This time last year was just surprise, 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 surprise. So that was really cool. We talked about wanting to keep our anniversary, which is January 25th. And with this year being 2025, 125 sounded really good to us, right? Or if you want to do it the international way, like 25125, it just sounds really good either way you put it. Also, 7 is our favorite number, both of our favorite numbers, and 2 plus 5 is 7. And we didn't know this at the time, but all the planets align on January 25th, 2025. So it's a really powerful day for us to start something new together, to really solidify our lives together and take this step towards mastering, enjoying, completing our legacy, right? So we had always talked about getting married from our very first date. We'd always talked about getting married. We weren't sure if we were going to do it in our own way, like very Grey's Anatomy, write things on a Post-it, we used to talk about getting married like under the moonlight in somebody's backyard, like it just being a really intimate thing, like just for us, not necessarily a legal process. But with time, we decided that we do want to be legally, historically, on paper, joined as one family and joined as one unit. And when we got engaged, the conversation was like, okay, if we want to get married during this time, like, what do we do? Do we have all of our loved ones come to wherever we are? Do we do a courthouse wedding to lock in our date and then have another wedding later? Do we just forego the other wedding? Like, what is it that we're going to do to, like solidify our love, right? And we decided that wherever we were in the world, we would do a court wedding. And so rather than traveling back to the US, getting married there, it was just easier to do it here. And it was such a magical experience, guys. So because I've never done a court wedding in the US personally, I can't tell you too much about it, but I know people who have done a courthouse wedding in the US, and pretty straightforward process. You just have to make sure you have all your documents. When you do it internationally, there's a couple of things you have to prove. Like, first, you have to prove your identity. Then you need to prove that you're not already married and that you're not like coming to a different country to get married illegally, right? Like, you're not related. You are not already married and trying to get out of another marriage, because you can't be married twice, like anywhere in the world. Actually, I don't know that. There may be a place that, is fine with that. But many places want to avoid you being married to more than one person. They also want to make sure they're like covering all their bases. And so what it looked like for us was doing the research. I found a wedding planner online, and I was thrilled to find her, but we didn't actually need a wedding planner. So if you plan to do more than just like a municipal ceremony, then you might want a wedding planner. You might want somebody to help you do all the things. But after speaking with her and like going over things and then talking through, like what's actually needed, she was very helpful, very knowledgeable, and I would recommend, so if you guys are interested, let me know. I'll send you information. I would recommend you to her. It was so hard to get out. But we decided that we didn't actually need that much, right? Like it was like we're just showing up to the court to say our vows and then we might go get pizza or something. Like this was our our conversation. And we're like, we're gonna have the kids, like we'll just go somewhere that's easy to eat and then we'll go home, maybe take a nap. Like that was the conversation. As fate would have it, we got our documents ready, arrived here, and everyone wanted to be a part of it. So everyone who was in this Boundless Life cohort was like, we're there. We want to be there. The girls got together and took me out the night before, and they're like, we have to make this super special. Like, how do we make this a really special day for you? And I was like, wow, this is above and beyond what we discussed. Clearly, we weren't dreaming big enough, but this is great. This is wonderful. So back to the logistics of things, because we have a separate video where we're talking about the magic of the day. I know it's coming. You're gonna love it. But back to the logistics. For Montenegro and for many places abroad, you need documentation of who you are, which is your birth certificate. You need your passport. You need like several forms of identification. When you get your birth certificate, they may or may not require you to have an apostille. I have been to almost 40 countries and I've had my driver's license in a different country. Okay. I've had work visas in different places and I have never heard of an apostille. Didn't know what it was. I thought the person who told me was making it up. I was like, what? That's not a thing. Like, what is an apostille? I vaguely heard about it when we were doing Kyl's dual citizenship and getting his Mexican birth registered. But we kind of like, I'll tell you more on that later. We never had to get it. So I was like, okay, what is this apostille thing? Why am I hearing so much about this apostille? So you know how you get things notarized? You sign stuff in front of a professional who is like verifying this is who you are, actually who you say you are, and you are signing this document in goodwill, in good faith, everything that you're attesting is true. That's the purpose of a notary, right? And that is something to just say, hey, this document is valid. An apostille is like a super notary. So even if you have a notarized document, to get an apostille, the document has to be notarized already. The apostille is like, I've checked over this information, I've looked it over, and it's correct, it's accurate. So here's further confirmation. And the reason for that is because an apostille is internationally recognized, right? So we didn't have time, and/or New York doesn't do that, to get the apostille version of the birth certificate. So I'm from Michigan. In Michigan, you can get different types of birth certificates. So I say, hey, I'm getting a birth certificate because I'm getting married abroad. And you do have to get a new birth certificate because they want it to be retrieved within the last 3 months. Like you can't just like go digging through your things and get the birth certificate that you were given at the hospital or whether you were born at home from many moons ago. You have to get fresh documents. Didn't understand that, but I obliged because this is not my country. I have respect for other people's processes and things. So you want a new one? I'm ordering a new one. Okay. Whatever is going to make sure that we get married on the day that all the stars and planets align. Okay. So we do that. We get new copies of our birth certificate. In the state of New York, there is no variation. There is one birth certificate, and their birth certificate is pretty much considered like a strong document that is internationally recognized. And so if we wanted to get an apostille added to that, we would have to be in the state of New York and do it there. Because what we found is that most places only apostille documents, I'm using that like a verb, and I don't even know if I can, but most places only apostille documents that are within that state. Like they can't apostille documents from a different state. So I couldn't just like get my birth certificate and then take it to an office to get it apostilled. Now they do have internet apostilles, like very much like virtual notary, where you go on, you pay like $150 to get this apostille. And it's kind of ridiculous because the apostille is like $3 in the state of Georgia. Like you go to the county clerk's office and it's like $3 per document. So I couldn't fathom paying $150 per document, being that we had several documents to get apostilled. I was like, you know what? The website says they recommend it, but it's not required. So I'm just gonna, go with God on this one. And our birth certificates are not gonna be apostilled, but they will be official. There will be fresh documents within the last 3 months and for the sole purpose of us getting married internationally. So we did that. We also had to sign a document attesting that we are single, right? We're not married to anyone else. We are single and we are free to be married. There is an international document that's like a certificate of indemnation or something like that. Maybe butchering that word. I will type it in the description. And it's internationally recognized, but of course the US doesn't have one. So the best thing that we could get was an affidavit of single status. So if you are getting married abroad and they're saying you need to have this certificate of intimation, again, sorry if I'm butchering that word, then it's not a thing in the US. You can't get it in the US. So you have to get an affidavit of single status, print that off from online, take it to your local bank to get it notarized. And I find that that's something that people don't realize. Your bank will notarize your documents for free. Like, you bank with whoever you bank with. As a member of that bank, you can get documents notarized for free and you don't have to make an appointment. You walk into the branch and you say, hey, I have documents that I need notarized. So it was super easy. We actually showed up to the county clerk's office to get the document apostilled, not realizing that it had to be notarized first before it got apostilled. I was like, yeah, I can just do it all here, right? She was like, no. And this was like 30 minutes before they closed on a Friday. So we drove up the street to like the nearest bank and then got it notarized really quickly and did all the things, held our right hand up, attested and all that. Then drove back down the street to the apostle place 5 minutes before they closed and got in line, submitted the documents, filled out the forms. And it was quick. We were in there and out of there. We paid the $6 in tax change and then we were out of there. So we had our notarized document, our affidavit of single status saying, hey, we are single, we are free to marry. It was notarized. Then we got the apostille, which was a more official, internationally recognized piece of paper with a special stamp that says these documents are true. So passports, birth certificates, and something verifying that you're single were all we had to have. Now, the next part to that is that when you're getting married in a different country, especially where the language is different, you're going to have a translator. So we had to find a translator. Boundless Life was super helpful in helping us find a translator. We were using whatever translator they've been using. And so we sent over our documents. She translated everything for us and we paid her a fee, something like 60 euros, I think. I think it was like 15 euros per page. And so the affidavit of single status plus our birth certificates, she translated them for us. And then she met us at the municipal court because you have to go to the court 7 days before your wedding date or the date that you would like to be married. And you have to submit all your documents. And then you need to like lock in your date, right? We went there with someone from Boundless Life, the general manager here, Marco. He's excellent. He is the king of hospitality. And we love Marco. So he went there with us. And the problem is he's not an official translator. So they asked us to come back. Even though it was going to be less than 7 days, they said, come back with an official translator. That part I didn't know. So I reached out to the translator that I'd worked with, and she was unfortunately unavailable, but she did put me in contact with a few other translators. And we found one that was able to come with us on the date and time they asked us to come. And we came back on that Monday with our paperwork again with our official translator, paid her fee, which was like 25 euros. And then we went to the office to pay the fee to be married, which was 30 euros. So at this point, we're talking 60, 30, 25. That's 115 euros so far. And then we had to also pay her for the day of the wedding because she has to be present to translate during the day of, right? So a translator is going to be really important to have. It was 50 euros for her to translate on the day of our wedding. So 115 plus 50, what is that? 165. So altogether, it cost us 165 euros to be married at the municipal court here in Montenegro. It was amazing. Loved it. Like, highly recommend, 10 out of 10. The process, just to give you a quick recap, go and check to see which documents you need to have in your prospective marriage location. Make sure that you have your apostilles. Make sure you have documents within a certain time frame because the country you're getting married in might require that you have fresh new documents from your official entity within a 3-month time frame. So we made sure we did that. We got in touch with the translator, had our documents translated. We were clear on all the steps that we needed to take. So we had all the documents that we needed to have when we got there. Plus, we had to hire a translator to come with us during the day of. Now, every country is different and different processes will differ depending on where you go. But that was our experience here in Montenegro. And from what I understand, many places are quite similar. The staff was amazing. They were incredibly thrilled that we chose Montenegro to get married. They were like, oh, this is really nice. Like, we're happy to have you. The attitude was less of like, why do you want to get married here? And more of like, wow, you want to get married in our country. And so that was highly appreciated. They were super, 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 super duper accommodating of us having small children, and one or two of the small children wanting to be held and soothed and things like that right during the ceremony. They were like, we can wait. For us, it's not a problem. Take your time. It was absolutely magical. But stay tuned for the full video when we recap the whole thing. Jordan and I are going to find some time between parenting and content creating and running the wellness program to sit down and actually recap this for you guys, because it was so wonderful and you really need to have both perspectives. Thank you for tuning in. I am Sierra Coburn. You guys are going to get that for a while. Like, it's going to be the newlywed outro. You're going to get that for a while. And I am one part of that family on the go, who is a Black travel family, locked parents, taking our beautiful Black boys around this world to immerse ourselves in different cultures, different languages, to really experience what it's like to be free and Black in different places. And we are so excited that you are here along the journey with us. I want you to stay tuned, hit the subscribe button, hit that little bell for the notifications so you don't miss what we have going on. And I look forward to doing this more with you guys. See you later.